Well, we have a theme this year. It's global research, the forensic science edge. And there are two keywords in that theme. One is research, and the other one is global. And I picked the research notion since there's so much going on in forensic science these days, and a huge part of our path forward is research. We have to do innovative, targeted research to improve our methodologies, to test past methodologies, and to meet the new demands that are on the horizon and in the forensic landscape today. The word global appears because so much of that research is really international in scope. When you look at the research that is being done, that needs to be done, it doesn't relate well to particular countries or borders. It crosses that. It is really international in scope, and it involves international teams working together or independently on communal problems, sharing their results in our journals and through peer-reviewed research. This is happening, and this is going on, and I simply wanted this year to highlight that and make everyone think about the value of research in their work and the international aspects of that as we move forward in forensic science. So you all have been part of this effort through through the plenary session and through the interdisciplinary symposium, and I know you each have perspectives on those issues, both the research and the international experience and perspective that you bring to the table through your presence, through your experience. But let's just go around the table and introduce yourselves, where you're from, and we can return to you and let you have an opportunity to give your perspective on these themes that I've kind of laid out for everyone.
My name is Klaus Niedecker. I come from Germany. I'm a forensic psychiatrist, and I'm running a private practice, and I do risk assessment for the Board of Parole in Germany in maximum security prisons and forensic hospitals. And from time to time I lecture at the University of Regensburg. What I think is that we need more cooperation, more multidisciplinary things, and more cooperation between universities, departments of forensic psychiatry. In Europe we have some, but we have not as much as we should have. For example, in Regensburg, where it's nearby where I live, they have a cooperation with Turku in Finland, doing some research on pedophiles. But this is an exception. This is not what we see all day, so that should be improved.
And would you say that meetings like this are one way to do that?
Yeah, and it would be better if a lot more people from Germany would be here, so that would be good, but that's one way, yeah. In Regensburg we have an annual meeting held in English on forensic psychiatry every year, so that's the only conference in Germany in the field in English language. This is another way to invite people from abroad to cooperate and to hear each other and to get in touch. And
your presence here is very important to the AAFS. What perspective do you think you bring to your colleagues in the United States or in North America that might be different from what they are used to?
I can bring in my perspective, my German perspective. So we have a lot of not different issues, but we have a different judicial system. So we see not as much serial murder cases, for example, in Germany. We are a country with dense populated, and but we only have, for example, 800 murder cases a year. That's what they have in the Bronx every year. So what I can bring in is how we deal that in Germany with not so spectacular cases, but what we can bring in is how we try to prevent these things. What I can bring in is the therapeutic point of view. I think what we have wanted to learn from the States is how crime scene analysis, for example, what crime scene analysis can do for us. In the forensic psychiatry, we learned a lot from crime scene analysis from the States, because the psychiatrists in Germany, for years and decades, they looked at the offender in terms of disorders, and they did not want to look at the offense itself, of the circumstances. But we have to understand the offender. We have to look at the offense itself, at the evidence, at the records. And that's what we learned and what we have to learn. And that's what I am here for, to meet colleagues in the field and to share their experiences.
I'm Rosalyn Spencer from the Canada Border Services Agency based in Ottawa, Canada, and I'm a senior forensic document examiner there. International factors across our discipline, I feel there's a great deal of overlap. We all are trying to address the same sorts of issues. For example, bias is something that's apparent across all the forensic disciplines, but especially my area. We are trying to take out the contextual information that could hypothetically affect examiners' opinions when they come to express them. So another very interesting thing that's becoming apparent internationally is that we're using the skills of the pattern recognition community, the document analysis and recognition specialists, to harness their techniques and skills to solve our casework problems. And this is very exciting. Computational forensics, for example, have great potential for what we do because they enhance the speed at which we can operate. The throughput volume is far, far greater when it's all automated, and we just have to make sure that the accuracy is the same as the human examiner. And that's why we're holding international competitions to encourage the young, talented people in this field to come forward and solve these problems for us.
I'm Eddie de Valk. I'm a forensic odontologist. I'm the chief forensic odontologist of the Belgian DVI team, and I held the position of vice president scientific at the DVI Interpol Standing Committee for a couple of years. The globalization of the world has had a very big impact on forensic odontology, in the sense that, for example, after tsunami, where a lot of countries were involved, and suddenly we all had to agree on same protocols, same standards, that was a huge step forward. What amazes me that when such events do happen is what an impact that has on the global odontology community, in the way that there is this impact of other specialties that suddenly come into your specialty and that gives some added value. That is definitely one thing. On the other hand, in research, again with the globalization, in Belgium, for example, we get a huge influx of political refugees, criminals from Asia, Eastern Europe, Africa, and that has some implications on the work that we have to do. Very often we are confronted with problems like age estimation. Are these youngsters 18 or not? The borderline of being treated as an adult or as an infant. Now, it makes a difference if you have someone from Eastern Europe, or it might make a difference from Eastern Europe or China or Africa or just a local person. So that's what our research is geared to in age estimation, for example. On the other hand, we have to do these research projects on the globalization as well. You know, Interpol, DVI, is becoming a big thing, and you have to try to fit into that. So that again requires an international, a more open, a more global approach of the problems that we're facing.
My name is Catherine Bomberger, and I'm the Director General of the International Commission on Missing Persons. Our mandate is to assist governments with cases of missing persons from war, violations of human rights, or natural disasters. Well, as you know, we started as a very small organization, 4 people working in the Western Balkans, and as you've just noted, we've expanded now to work beyond the Western Balkans with the backing of governments internationally, not only on cases of persons missing from armed conflict or violations of human rights, but also cases of persons missing from natural disasters, where we're hoping to make a platform on disaster victim identification with Interpol. And it's been a real challenge to grow like this. We have now made 18,000 identifications globally through assistance to governments, but a lot of it depends on building an infrastructure within governments, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. So we're not here to do substitute performance, to do the work for governments. We're here to make sure that governments take responsibility when atrocities have been committed, or even when cases of natural disasters have been committed. So governments want to do this, and when they want to do it, we're here to help. But often they don't have the know-how to be able to do this. So again, you have to build the institutions, the legislation, and then you have to have the technical wherewithal to be able to provide that assistance, and that can be difficult. But one of the things I think will allow a country who wants to engage in this process to be successful is to use an integrated scientific methodology that is using modern forensic methods and really using a DNA-based process of identifications, which has proved successful in the context of the Western Balkans, where now 70% of the persons missing have been accounted for, and also having a rule of law-based approach where prosecutions are allowed to take place. When we started this process, we were solely really trying to identify the victims. In the Western Balkans now, with 70% of those accounted for, in listening to the families of the missing, what they want now is justice. So setting those parameters to allow justice to prevail in cases where violations have taken place or armed conflict has taken place is very important. So we're learning. For a while it was really the Wild West out there, and I think rules and principles are now emerging regarding how you do this. And ICMP is one of many other organizations that are struggling to deal with these concepts for the benefit of all of us.
I'm Dr. Vieira. I'm from Portugal, where I'm the director of the National Institute of Forensic Medicine and Forensic Sciences. I'm the current president of the International Academy of Legal Medicine and of the European Council of Legal Medicine, which is the organization that deals with all the professional matters inside the European Union regarding legal medicine. I'm also the past president of the International Association of Forensic Sciences, of the World Police Medical Officers, and of the Mediterranean Academy of Forensic Sciences. My basic training is as forensic pathologist, and I work mainly in the field of human rights, in the investigation of torture, working with the High Commission of Human Rights, especially with the Special Rapporteur on Torture, for the International Rehabilitation Council on Torture Victims, and also for the International Committee of Red Cross. Well, I will say that things improved a lot in the last decades. I think that we have today forensic sciences worldwide in a very different level from what we have in the past. I think today we have much more communication, much more interaction between the different countries and between the different continents. But even so, we have very different realities, even inside the continents. For example, if you talk about European Union, and if you look to forensic medicine and forensic sciences inside the European Union, we will see that even if the European Union try to harmonize everything, we are still a mosaic of different realities. We have different concepts, we have different designations, we have different practices, we have different realities. And of course, all these things, they mixed and they translate in different forensic science systems. For example, in some countries, you have forensic sciences inside the Ministry of Justice, in others in the Ministry of Health, in others in the Ministry of Education, in others in several ministries at the same time. In some countries, use the designation of legal medicine, and with legal medicine, you mean all the forensic sciences. In others, use the designation of forensic medicine. In some countries, forensic practitioners, they have a really training and a residence period with a correct period of training. In other countries, you became a forensic practitioner without no specific training. So there is still a wide variety between the continents and even inside one continent between the different countries. But I think that the situation is improving, and I think that there is a large responsibility from the international organizations to try to change this panorama that we have until now. Of course, I think that these CSI series have contributed a lot to this changing that we are assisting all over the world, and also the big congresses, they are every day more attracting more people from more countries. I mean, in the last meeting of the International Association of Forensic Sciences, we had 109 countries for the first time. I think for the first time in one international meeting we passed the barrier of the 100 countries. And this makes me think that really people today are interested in knowing the situation between the different countries and trying to approach.
Well, I thank you all for spending a little time thinking about these issues. Our theme, global research, the forensic science edge, cuts into a lot of key international factors. They have to do with awareness of bias. They have to do with approaches to mass disasters. They have to do with international understanding of the political, cultural factors in identification efforts. They have to do with what's going on in the broader sense of the practice of forensic science, as well as bringing European perspectives to North America and vice versa. I think it is that sharing of international perspective that makes us stronger, that makes it easier to move forward, and communication is a key part of the ingredient as we advance in the forensic sciences.